This is Belcher. Don't be fooled by his wheelchair and frail figure, because he's the incredibly powerful head of the Mad Gear gang. In fact, to show how powerful his goons are, they've kidnapped the mayor's daughter and started a war in the streets. This is the story of Final Fight, and today we're going to rank the best and worst bosses in this Capcom classic. It's time to clean the streets and beat up cars in this episode of Boss Rush. When the most interesting thing you can say about a boss is that he has a woman's name, then you know something's wrong. Abigail is a big, tough meathead with a narrow flat top and polka dot wife beater. He also turns red from time to time. In some games that would be enough to be memorable, but not Final Fight. This guy hangs out in the seedy part of the Bay Area, just past the glass factory and the city's dirtiest public restroom. On one hand, he has an incredible view of the statue in the distance, but chances are you're going to remember that statue, the glass factory, and even the dirty bathroom more than this Ondor clone. He's given absolutely nothing to do and wouldn't even be in the picture if not for Cody, Guy, and Hagar deciding to take a shortcut to Belcher's high-rise. And really, in a world where people are named Damned and Sodom, is Abigail really that crazy of a name? This boss sucks. For most people, Damned is their first introduction to the Mad Gear gang. He's the guy responsible for kidnapping Hagar's daughter, and his ugly mug is seen laughing maniacally during the game's intro. He has all the makings of a great villain, including a menacing name that had to be changed when Capcom ported Final Fight to the Super NES. There's just one problem. Damned is a terrible fighter. This is a guy who seemingly matches outfits with his ratty dreadlocks. He claims to be the protector of Metro City's slums, yet finds a way to destroy his own property at every turn. Worse yet, he's supposedly the guy in charge of Mad Gear's information network, and yet he's horrible at coordinating his own team. He only calls in for backup when he gets punched a few times, and then sits back and watches as his team gets walloped by the former wrestler turned politician. He seems more concerned with his fancy jewelry and bright blue sunglasses than winning a street fight. Damned may have been able to kidnap an unsuspecting girl, but that doesn't make him tough. In a game where you've battled a wannabe samurai, defeated a former special forces soldier, and met a guy named Abigail, Final Fight is a little anticlimactic. Belcher isn't some big, tough, unstoppable force, but rather a frail old guy confined to a wheelchair. You almost feel bad for punching him out a window. Almost. I mean, he did spend the entire fight trying to stick you with a harpoon gun, so kicking him out the penthouse window is certainly justified. But don't be fooled by the whole wheelchair act, because there's nothing wrong with Belcher. This is a guy who can zip around the screen at the speed only surpassed by Rowland. He also has a lot of power, commanding a city filled with gangsters, crooked cops, and military experts. Of course, none of that helped him at the end of Final Fight, but he had a solid plan up to that point. For what it's worth, Belcher gets bonus points for dying in the most dramatic way possible. It's easy to hate Eddie E. He's a crooked cop with a stupid name and unruly beard. He's the kind of coward who brings a gun to a street fight and frames innocent people to cover up his own crimes. He's a 319-pound bully with a badge, a loose cannon with absolutely no regard for the safety of anybody else, including the other Mad Gear gang members. And, worst of all, Eddie E is the kind of guy who likes to hold a grudge and wait for the perfect time to exact his revenge. He's a hateable dude. But in a weird way, all these things work to his advantage. He's arguably the most interesting character you fight in Metro City, as he's neither a simple gang member nor a top lieutenant of Belcher's army. He's a crooked cop that shows us that even Metro City's finest are in the pockets of the crime syndicate, which makes this more than a simple street fight. He also has the foresight to bring a gun, something none of the other bosses think to do. Granted, the gun isn't as effective as it should be, but at least he came prepared. That's more than I can say about Abigail. It probably shouldn't come as a surprise that the two best boss characters in Final Fight also went on to join the Street Fighter Alpha roster. Sodom is an American fighter with a strong penchant for Japanese culture. Of course, like most wannabes, his enthusiasm outweighs his knowledge. He's also known for comically butchering the Japanese language, something that led Sodom to paint the wrong kanji on his chest. But don't let his idiosyncrasies fool you, because he's a badass fighter with a great weapon. After riding a subway train inexplicably filled with barrels, our hero stumbles across an underground fight club. As legend has it, Sodom is the undefeated champion, with nobody even coming close to overpowering this wannabe samurai. His followers may think this proves his mastery in the ancient arts, but I have a hunch it's those two swords he packs around that really swings the battle in his favor. Thankfully, Cody, Hagar, and Guy are able to avoid getting sliced up, but not before taking in one of the best boss arenas in the game. It's also worth mentioning that Sodom's name was changed to Katana in the Super NES port, though I'm certainly not going to hold that against him. There's nobody quite like Rowland in Final Fight. When everybody else slowly lumbers around the screen, this former Special Forces soldier runs and jumps with reckless abandon. He not only packs a powerful melee weapon, but tosses out grenades without even a single fear of bringing the wobbly elevator crashing down. What's more, he's one of the few bosses with a legitimate home field advantage. Instead of being trapped in a wrestling ring or on some random city block, this guy can jump off the lift's walls and run along the railings. It's an impressive display that makes him perfect for this iconic fight. What makes this story odd is that Final Fight's best boss battle was cut completely from the 1991 Super NES port. I don't know if it was a space issue or rushed to get the game out by the holidays, but Cody and Hagar avoided going to the industrial part of town and instead went straight to the Bay Area. Realizing their mistake, Capcom added Rowland to Final Fight 2, and then went one step further by including the American-born German in 2 Street Fighter Alpha games and Ultra Street Fighter 4. He's a fan favorite and easily the highlight of any Final Fight game he's in. So there you have it, our list of the best and worst Final Fight bosses. Disagree? Think Abigail got a raw deal? Well, let me know how you rank the Final Fight bosses in the comment section below. We'll be back soon with another episode of Boss Rush. Hey, thanks for watching me count down the best and worst Final Fight bosses. This is an idea I'm testing in hopes of turning it into a weekly series in early 2017. I'd love to hear your thoughts on future episodes of Boss Rush, especially if you have games you would like to see covered. The truth is, this is one of the many new shows I'm planning on debuting in the next few months. So, I'm hoping you'll click that subscribe button and support what we're doing here. Until then.